Inflating is probably one of, if not the most important technique to learn when starting out. That's why the first day spent practicing it at glide school usually stands out in a paraglider's memory. It's the first contact you'll have with the equipment and is usually accompanied by your first uncertainties. It's also the occasion for instructors to give invaluable advice. At this stage, you'll learn how to correctly handle your equipment, observe your environment for ideal conditions, and concentrate. Above all, you'll learn how to properly inflate the canopy and make a good run, the two prerequisites for a safe launch. Pay attention to what your instructor says. He'll explain all of the basic techniques you'll be expected to develop throughout your training. Launching is the most hazardous moment of paragliding. Most accidents occur during the launch. Make sure you know what you're doing. Practice regularly your ground handling techniques. With enough practice, you'll be making beautiful and safe launches in no time. It's the first step to a successful flight. Preparing the equipment and going through the pre-flight safety inspection must become second nature. Being strict and using a simple but effective methodology will prevent errors and give you all the more chances to make safe and successful launches. Start by laying your wing out on the slope. A wing is always inflated facing the wind. Facing the wind, you'll find it much easier to obtain the relative wind needed to create lift. It will also make shorter launch distances possible, which can be useful for certain sites. When launching, several different scenarios are possible. A headwind, the ideal situation. Using this configuration, orient your wing so that it's facing downhill and into the wind. A crosswind. The wind is no longer blowing along the launch axis. Launching is still possible, but it will require more skill. Orient your wing so that it's facing the wind and inflate it. Once the wing is inflated and stabilized over your head, adapt your launch run so that it brings you back into the launch axis. Launching with a tailwind is impossible. In a scenario where there isn't any wind, orient your wing so that it's lined up with the steepest slope. Don't hesitate to reposition your wing along its entire wingspan so that when you're ready to inflate it, its layout is ideal. Some pilots recommend laying it out in a slight V shape or in the shape of a horseshoe so that both halves of the wing inflate evenly. Considering the new orientation, reposition the harness in the center of the wing. Notice how Christopher has positioned himself. The lines are almost tensioned, which will make it easier for him to untangle them. Take hold of the risers at the carabiner and make sure they are untwisted. Hold the A-risers in front of you. Isolate the A-lines, then work your way towards the wing and verify that they are free of twists, tangles, knots and debris all the way to the leading edge. We can clearly see here that they are located underneath the other lines. You'll have to untwist the harness. Start out by correctly repositioning the lines, then continue to untwist them up to their base. This method makes it easy to figure out which way to spin the harness in order to eliminate the twist. New verification. Make sure the lines are free all the way to the leading edge. The harness is now on the ground without any twists. It's time to untangle the lines. As we saw earlier, Christopher isolates the A-lines and puts some tension on them as he works his way towards the wing. Often, you can verify that the lines are not tangled or knotted by simply putting tension on the lines. Do the same thing for each set of lines. Untangling the lines can be done rather quickly and easily if you put the right amount of tension on them. Christopher is now ready to put on his equipment and the harness. The pre-flight inspection begins. Remember to check your reserve parachute rubber bands as well as its handles to avoid pulling it by accident during the launch or the flight. You can put on and attach the harness. Inspect and fasten the leg straps at the same time. You should be able to slide your hand between your leg and the strap. Fasten the abdominal strap next, followed by the chest strap. The pre-flight continues. Christopher inspects his carabiners, then each quick link, and finally the connection of his brake handle. Now you're ready to grab your glider's controls. Let the risers hang down untwisted alongside your legs, unhook the brake handle, then go under the network of risers so you come up grasping the A-risers. Then double-check that the A-risers are completely free up to the leading edge. In addition, make sure the brake line isn't blocked. Do the same thing for the other half of the wing. You're ready to launch.